Welcome back to Oathbound Gaming. My name's Greg, and today we're looking at Divided Reigns. Divided Reigns is your classic SNES RPG style game that is made in the RPG Maker engine. And it does it quite well. I'm going to show you just what I'm talking about, all of the features of this game, jump in here, go in depth so you can see exactly what this style of game is, and see if it's something you would like to play. Let's go. Divided Reigns starts off with some story, and then you enter this. I skipped out the story because I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to experience that yourself. So when the battle first starts, you're going to see quite a bit of different attacks. Thrust attack, side attack, reach attack, and weak attacks. There's more of that too, because you see Shakar's got some more, and that depends on the weapon that you have equipped on the character. When you use these styles of attacks, you're going to find that some enemies have strengths to some types of attacks, and some have weaknesses, meaning you do less or more damage to an enemy depending on what you use. And you want to really find what that weakness is. And if you look below the enemy, you'll see question marks. Those question marks are indicators of what the enemy weakness is. Once you discover that, it will populate there. An icon will populate there to let you know what the weakness is of the enemy. And the cool thing is, in future parts of this video, you're going to see that is going to be filled out. That means we've already discovered that weakness, and you'll always know what that is every time you come to fight that enemy. It'll tell you. It'll already be filled out. So you kind of want to spend some time experimenting, find out what their weakness is, so it helps you out in your current and future battles when you run into the same type of enemy. One of the nice things I like in this game is it's got the Trinity. It's got like a tank, high damage dealer, and healer. Alfred has a provoke, which I used, which would increase the enemy's likelihood that he's targeted. You know, they'll more likely. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to be targeted. And of course, there's attacks that hit the entire party, so it's not always going to protect everyone from every attack. But it's a good thing to do. Make him as tanky as you can so he can protect the weaker party members. So I'm trying out different style of attacks, see if I can find the enemy weakness here. And when you do, bam, you'll see weak point. Shakar just did a martial arts attack, and it discovered a weakness. So next time we see him, we'll know his weakness. And of course, at the end, you get your spoils and your experience. Divided Reigns supports mouse and keyboard and controller. I prefer a controller because it's more of a throwback to the classics for me. It's how I played, but you'll see here, I'm just clicking where I want to go with the mouse, and the party moves there. So mouse and keyboard is definitely supported, and it plays quite well. So you really don't need a controller to play it. But if you're like me, you want to use a controller, it does support that, and it does it quite well. So we have another fight going on here, and I want to show you the debuff system a little bit here. So you see Biggs and Wedge is in the battle, which is a throwback to Final Fantasy, a little bit of a reference there. I love that. So you see Biggs gets hit, and gets hit with an attack that gives him a head injury. And the game, every time you get a debuff for the first time, it's going to tell you, oh no, you got a head injury. Here's what it does. Minus 50% magic defense, and you can't use any magic. So, Biggs can't use magic anyway, but if he could, he wouldn't be able to use it in this case because he's got the head injury. That's awesome. It's got a debuff system related to body parts as well as your normal status like poison. So you can get an arm, leg injury, and then, of course, here we got our experience. And one of the things you might have noticed there, even though one of the characters was dead or fainted, we still gained experience on that character. I love that. I hate when that happens where you can't get experience and you end up with a character that's level 5 versus everyone else that's 10. So we just did a little bit of a rest at an inn. We paid for it. We're going to go ahead and save, but you can save wherever you want. You don't have to save at any specific location. You can save anywhere, so that's good. You don't have to worry about losing progress. Divided Reigns also has a rare spawn type of system called Ferocious enemies. So you see a look at that Veretian devil over there on the right side, you can see that little red fiery face icon? That means that is a ferocious monster. He has more health, more damage, and he gives a heck of a lot more experience. But not just him, any enemy in the battle will give 50% more experience just because one ferocious enemy is in the fight. I like that because having one of the ferocious enemies makes the overall fight more difficult. So overall, everything gives more experience. It's cool. I like the system where you could be farming experience or something and come across this to make the fights a little tougher but more rewarding. I think it works well. So one other thing to point out in this fight is the Tundra Orc. If you look below him, you'll see the weaknesses we discovered earlier is still there. They're still there. The martial arts and the thrust attacks are still there to show you that heck, you discovered his weakness. You know how to incorporate it into your battle strategy. Shakar just did additional damage using a martial arts attack. And one of the other cool things is when you go to use the attack, you might forget what that icon means, but when you go to use an attack, the attack icon actually shows you what it is before you even use it. At the end of the fight, we get experience, of course, we level up, and we get new skills as we level up. Good system. Well, let's go take a look at the magic system. So I wanted to show you the magic system, but I'm going to show you some other stuff as well during a boss battle with an Ice Angler. The Ice Angler is a tough fight. So below it, you're going to see 6 question marks. That's obviously its weaknesses, so we know it has 6 weaknesses. But what we don't know is which ones are physical and which ones are magical. Well, one of the cool things is if you don't want to play like guess and check, Habar has an ability called Magic Type Analyze. If you use this, it is going to reveal what his magical weaknesses is, or what they are. Specifically magical. It's not going to let you know what the physical is, because there's another character later on that gets exactly that. She's able to decipher what the enemy's physical weakness is, and you can use her for that if you'd like. So we just use that Analyze ability, and you can see below the Ice Angler, we have the 4 weaknesses. And Alfred's saying we don't know what the physical weakness is, so we're still trying to incorporate different attacks to try to discover that. So, like I said, if you incorporate the weaknesses into your battle strategy, you exploit those, you will have a heck of a lot easier time. You really can't ignore it, especially on the harder difficulty. It is... Some of these fights get tough. They get really, really tough. And one of the cool things I like is the enemy's model is supposed to try to help you guess on what their weakness is. So I just used a thrust attack, and we found that that is its weakness, and thrust also leveled up. You get a little dialogue here that Alfred's saying, hey, Shakar, use thrust attacks, we know what his weakness is. I like that. You get a little bit of dialogue in there, and of course, we just got Terror for the first time, and like before, this is the first time we got this debuff, so it's telling us exactly what Terror does. So Alfred's got that, and unfortunately he's debuffed, so it's going to affect him in some way. In this case, it's going to reduce his damage by 33%, which sucks. But heck, that's the battle, right? So here, we're changing Shakar's equipment to a dagger so she can use thrust attacks. The cool thing about that system is you can change your equipment in the middle of the fight without taking up a turn. That is so important because me, I wouldn't do it. I would just not even change the equipment. I would just go with whatever I have because I don't even want to waste a turn. But this incorporates more strategy into your battle because you can have additional weapons saved, stockpiled in your inventory that you don't sell for this exact reason. So you can change your equipment, especially during a boss fight, you know, because that's usually where it matters most, where you want to be like, I don't want to go through a long boss fight without the ability to exploit that enemy's weakness. So I changed the weaponry on Shakar. She's able to use thrust attacks for the rest of the fight, of course, and you know, you can always keep that on her forever if you'd want. But Shakar's cool thing is she dual wields, so she gets a lot more attack types than everyone else, and you can make use of those. You can do a lot of damage with her. So here we can see the fight is actually getting quite rough. We're using a lot of magic and a lot of thrust attacks to exploit the enemy weakness, and it's not easy. A lot of these fights do get quite difficult, especially if you're playing on the harder difficulty, which of course you don't have to. But one of the things I really like about Divided Range is once you pick your difficulty, you're stuck on it. I love that. So you can't just go farm in easy difficulty and then switch to hard to like get an achievement or something. You have to stick with it and you have to commit. I like that. I think that's a good design. So as you've probably seen by now, Habar's got your heals. We try to get off these heals. We're going to try to go for a group heal here and see if we can... Oof, Naomi just got wrecked. Habar thankfully heals. So you can resurrect fallen allies during the fight with items or with Habar's life magic. You can cast that as well. Fight is quite difficult. It does get hard, but if the fight's too difficult for you, you can definitely go out and grind and farm. The game supports that for sure, and you get a lot of rewards for it. You get spoils, which are just, they're items that you sell to vendors, and they are clearly marked as spoils, so you know that this is just vendor trash. This is just to sell to a vendor for money. I really like that. I hate when you ever play a game where it's like, man, I really don't know if I should sell this item or not. I don't know if I need it. Let me sell a couple of them. I'll hold on to some because I don't know if it's used for a crafting recipe or something of the sort. This game makes it simple, very clear that, hey, anything in the spoils section, you can vendor that. So farming enemies is definitely rewarding, and the systems easily support that. You know, you don't have to worry about making any mistakes when it comes to that. So we're getting close to taking this Ice Angler down. Should I stick it? Should I stick to this? Or should I go to the next clip? Let's stick to it, see if we can get him down. I don't know if I take him down on this clip. I do. But it's kind of close. Gets kind of close. So you see the Ice Angler using a couple of attacks. It gets to go more than once per turn sometimes. It gets super close, but we end up taking down the Ice Angler. Boss down. And one of the things I want to show you again is you'll see Alfred and Shakar. They're going to get experience for this fight, even though they're dead. Love that. Love that. That's amazing. I think that's how the system should be. They still helped the fight, right? They helped us get through there. Why aren't they getting rewarded for it? Leveled up, acquired skills. Next clip. One of the things Divided Reigns has is side quests. They sprinkle in some side quests in the game that you can choose to do or not if you'd like. So here we have like a hunt, a monster bounty, and we're trying to find these enemies. You'll see that they're like they're blinking in and moving. That means they're in that area, and we have to try to find exactly where they are, what spot they're in, to initiate the fight. You'll see I walked over there, found them, attack, Alfred found them. He's like, let's kick the crap out of these guys. And then when we complete this fight, if we complete this fight, we get rewarded for it, because this is actually a side quest, a battle, just that you would otherwise not see. You wouldn't see this fight unless you picked up the side quest, the bounty, and you went out there to go get them. And they give you some hints like, hey, south of this town is where you might find them. And you get these little gold spots on the mini-map like you saw, well, on the world map. And as you walk on them, it'll discover them. It'll say, hey, you know, there they are, let's go initiate the battle. Initiate the battle, you go through this fight, you win, you complete the side quest, you get rewarded for it, and you are now in a better position to proceed through the game. And the game's got a fair amount of side quests sprinkled in that, again, you can choose to do or not if you don't want to. But I like the side quests, otherwise we'd be getting like a, as we called it, final hallway back in the day with Final Fantasy 13, where it's just like a linear path, there's nothing to do off the beaten path, and that kind of sucks. That's not an RPG, right? So I like seeing some side quests here. I'm glad Divided Reigns incorporated a fair amount of them into the game. And I'm not going to show you the rest of this fight. Let's go to the next clip. Let's go. What's an RPG without a good story? So this scene is early on in the game. I promise you I'm not going to spoil much for you. I just want to show Alfred's personality a little bit here. He's not afraid to get down and dirty and tell someone to shut the hell up when it's time for them to listen. He's not afraid to do that, to take command, and that's what actually makes him quite a likable character for me. He's not evil in any way. He's trying to do right, but he's not afraid to take command when it's time for him to be a little nasty and tell people, like, get in line, you know? I really like that for Alfred. He's definitely a character that I can relate to a little bit, and I like that. I like that about him, because I'm sick of the RPG stories where the characters are just unlikable and everything's always pleasant and everything always goes to plan and no one ever dies. I'm sick of that. So I'm glad to see that this game wants to do a little different, give you a little bit of a different story. It's a fun story, and it kept me playing. It kept me going the whole way through. So hopefully you guys enjoy that type of style, that type of character. And there are some love interest in the game, because that's an RPG, right? You can't have an RPG without some love interest. So it's there for you. If you guys into that, that's there as well. This is a boss battle, but let's go to the next clip. You've seen enough boss battles, right? Let's go. So I'm going to show you the item system here a little bit. Remember I talked about spoils and such? I'm going to show you how easily the game separates spoils that are just vendor trash versus your actual useful items. So here are just some items. Take a look at it. Tent, you know, you've played RPGs before. You heal with them, heals everyone. But if we go down here, you're going to see spoils. These are completely separate from the rest of your items because they're just to sell for talents. That's the currency in the game. So we go to the shopkeep, say, yeah, we want to shop. Let's go to sell. Spoils. You can hit the sell all button. Super simple. Sells all your spoils. You get your currency. You get your talents for that. Done. Super simple. We go to buy. We can buy whatever we want, just like we normally would. I like it. Real quick, I wanted to show you the magic system. Circle of elements. Habar's explaining this here, how exactly this works. You'll see fire, wind, and ice. Fire does 2 times damage to wind, wind does 2 times damage to ice, and ice does 2 times damage to fire at the top. But if you reverse it, ice to wind, only 0.25 damage. So only 25% of damage is done if ice hits wind. But these 3 circles affect each other in a way. If you do fire, ice, or wind to any psychic, sonic, or poison enemy, you will do 1.5 times damage. It's a 50% damage bonus. And then, of course, the 3 elements affect each other in each of the circle, either 0.25 damage or double damage. Really cool system. A lot of work went into this battle system. I love it. I think it was a really good job. You're a genius, Habar. You're a genius, game devs. Nice job. There are all sorts of cool events that happen in this game. So here you'll see some bounty hunters chasing my party. You can make choices. There's some choices in the game that will change how the game plays out. You can choose to bend the knee in a way to some people and get off easy in a way, or you can resist. And sometimes bounty hunters come after you if you do that. So on the world map, it's not just random battles, like you'll see actual units coming after you and trying to chase you down. So here we have the fight against the bounty hunters because I'm not giving in. I'm not going to let them do what they want. And because of that, they send bounty hunters after me, which is cool. And I had a couple saves where I can reload and try out the other options, and it's cool to see that there's actual differences in the game and how it's going to play out depending on the choices you make. I didn't expect it from an RPG Maker type of game, but this game goes above and beyond. I like it. Bounty hunters down. You might have noticed I put my headphones on. That's so I can enjoy this awesome scene. The rain, the thunder, the calming music. I love it. The game's got a good soundtrack from your battle themes to your more calm music like this. I like it. Sounds great. I think it stands out from the rest of the RPG Maker type of games. And obviously the environment's different. This is like a side-scrolling forest scene, and you don't always get that. You know, who just interrupted my root devourers? Let's kill these things. Let's use provoke, because we're not going to allow them to do what they want. We already know their weaknesses, but you know what? I don't think we're going to need it in this fight. We're going to use group attacks. We're going to use Earthquake, we'll use Telekinetic Blast, and we'll use a Poison Bomb from Shakar. So we'll start off with the Provoke, just in case they get attacks off. Throw a Poison Bomb at them. They ain't going to get anything off. Earthquake. And then with that Psychic Blast attack, and they are done. And that's what you get for interrupting my nice scene. One of the things I really like about Divided Reigns is the environments, the towns, the cities that you come across. They feel unique. I've played some RPG Maker games where they kind of just copy and paste assets from town to town, and it just feels kind of like, I don't know, wash and reuse, cheap rinse and repeat. You know, this feels different. This town has a unique dynamic where in the southern end you have a lot of the poor folk, and on the northern end you have the rich folk, and it makes for an interesting situation when you get to this city later in the game. Look at that backdrop. Beautiful. There is a whole lot of reasons to explore while you're playing this game. There's a secret room right after a boss fight. So there's a little hint for you right there. I'm gonna give you that one, all right? I'm gonna give you that one. You see, you get a whole ton of loot hidden back there. And let's pause that for a second. Get you a girl that looks at you the way Shakar looks at Alfred. Look at that. Look at the passion in the eyes. You see that? It's hard to find. It's hard to find. All right, let's move on. Headphones back on for this scene. Just listen. Just listen. Come on. Is that not a good song or what? Love it. So, I'm going to use this clip here to talk a little bit more about the game, give you my final recap of what I think about the game, how I feel. We'll close this video out here with this awesome music in the background. Love it. So, Divided Reigns. Divided Reigns is an RPG Maker game. And RPG Maker games, they get a bad reputation as being games that just copy and paste and use these assets and they're just plain and simple. Yeah, they exist. Those games do exist in the RPG Maker game. But the trick is to find those that stand out from the crowd. Divided Reigns is one of those games. I'm telling you right now, a lot of love went into this game, a lot of effort. From the music, the environments, the story is quite well written, and the battle system. The battle system has a heck of a lot of work, and it's unique. I can't name a system that really feels like this in another game. If you can, please let me know in the comments. You know, arm injury, head injury, using attack types, that magic system, the 3 circles. I haven't seen that in another game. Please let me know if you have. I have not. So it's quite unique to me. And I'll say this about the story. The story is very well written. It doesn't have like grammatical errors and stuff like that in the text you're reading, and it feels good and it feels believable. There's one scene early on in the game and I was like, I don't know. I don't really see that happening. But there's a reason for it. They kind of go back and fix it later in the game. You find out, oh, that's why that happened. So that fixed my opinion on the whole I don't believe this happening. It was like a best friend not believing another friend, and I was like, that's unrealistic. There's a reason for it. So, I'm not going to spoil the story for you guys. I don't want to give my opinion on the exact events of the story, but I will say that I personally enjoy when characters like die, like main characters die. Like I like when not everything works out. You know, like that's realistic to me. You know, not everything's gonna end happy-go-lucky, and everything worked out. Yay! So, and you might not like that. You might like all your characters staying alive. So, I'm not gonna give my opinion on the exact event, and I'm not gonna spoil that for you. You guys are gonna have to play through this yourself to get that. But I will say this: it is a fun ride. The story is good. The battle system is good. The environments are good, and I like the soundtrack. I'll say this: if Divided Rings was a game that released in the 90s alongside the classic RPGs of our time, it would be a game we compare every other RPG to today. I love this game, but is it a Final Fantasy? I love this game, but is it a Divided Rings? It would be one of the games we compare other RPGs to. I believe that. Divided Rings offers a very, very, very strong, enjoyable experience for you classic RPG-loving fans. Don't miss this one. If you enjoy this style of games, play it. I promise you you're going to enjoy it. I promise you it's going to be a good game for you. And I will go on record saying that. So let's go ahead and suplex a boss. See that? Suplex a boss. Finish him off. What a way to end the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please throw us a sub. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Skiddat!